Bala Gopal Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Radha Ras Bihari Radha Ras Bihari Radhe Radhe Jayo Radhe Jayo Radhe Jayo Radhe Jayo Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Over
Thank
to
you.
you, Prabhu. Sadhu Sevan Prabhuji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yes. Thank you, Siddhu Mataji, for the very nice kirtan. So, I will begin with the Mangala Charan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasme Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhavetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु भयेवच पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य दिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, I welcome you all for today's session of Srimad Bhagwatam, and I seek your prayers and blessings so that I can try to pass what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say in the purports, and then the right message goes with the right spirit and remains in our heart for a very, very long time. So before we begin, let us quickly see what we are going to learn today and how today's session is going to help us in our life. So in Srimad Bhagwatam, it is descriptions of the different devotees of the Lord most of the times, and at very few places there are some characters which tells us that we should not behave like them. When well, today's discussion is also around that. We are going to discuss King Vena, and then there is a lot to learn from the first glimpse. If any one of us have this smallest feeling in our heart, why King Vena was not a good person? Why are we discussing about him? There is a lot to learn from the description that we are going to go through today. It tells us when we come across in our life to a difficult situation, when we have to decide something, then we must be very, very thoughtful before we take the decision. We will discuss some examples. And then how a real sadhu should be. What are the characteristics? how he behaves differently than any other ordinary person. And when we get such difficult situations in our life, well, every situation is a difficult situation. I'll tell a small example. Like, we were going for Bhagavad Gita distribution, because this being the Gita Marathon month. So we were discussing, like, people, I mean, there were a few instances when some of the people asked, well, this was for Arjuna, who was 500 years ago. Why and how this Bhagavad Gita is applicable for us? And then I tried convincing, like, this very same place, it is called HSR layout, where I stay. Okay, near to, so I told, well, our Kurukshetra is this HSR layout, because the same set of problems which Arjuna had, this is our battlefield. And then we are also distressed, we are also getting issues, we are also not able to decide, we are also frightened with the problems, we are also unknowingly ready to renounce the things, whereas we are supposed to fight. And when we are supposed to fight, I mean, we renounce. So basically, point is, it tells us what is the right thing for us at what point of time. Right? Dhruva wanted to fight for his younger brother. He was asked not to fight. Arjuna wanted to renounce. He was asked to fight. So there is no thumb rule that any person at any point of time can do so. That wisdom is given to us by the scriptures, and we are trying to, with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and his purpose, we are going to discuss how and what we can learn from today's example. This is the preliminary, like, foundation of what we are going to learn and how interestingly it is going to help us in our life. Now I share my screen. So we are going to discuss the verse of Canto 4, chapter 14, verse from 11 to 15. May I request all the Prabhuji and Mataji to please raise hand so that they can read the shloka and the purport. And when we read the purport, I'll try to share what I could understand from our senior devotees and Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Yes. So, Archana Mataji, please start reading the verse 11. Nirupitaha
Prabhuji. Thank you,
Prajapala.
Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Nirupita Prajapalaha Sajigams Vai Prajaha Tatapi Santavya Yemam Nasmam Satpatakam Krisit. Hare Krishna.
Yes, please, yeah, I'll read the translation, Mataji.
Okay, may I read the translation also, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please read.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. We appointed this Vena king of the state in order to give protection to the citizens, but now he has become the enemy of the citizens. Despite all these discrepancies, we should at once try to pacify him. By doing so, we may not be touched by the sinful results caused by him. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. So let me request some of the devotee to please read the purport also. It's a short purport, and then we will discuss.
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Mataji, yes.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The saintly sages elected King Vena to become king, but he proved to be mischievous. Therefore, the sages were very much afraid of incurring sinful reactions. The law of karma prohibits a person even to associate with a mischievous individual. By electing Vena to the throne, the saintly sages certainly associated with him. Untimely King Vena became so mischievous that the saintly sages actually became afraid of becoming contaminated by his activities. Thus, before taking any action against him, the sages tried to pacify and correct him so that he might turn from his mischief. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So we read in this purport that the sages who had appointed the king Vena to become the king, because at that time there was no king, and then a representative of the state has to be there to regulate the life of the society in his kingdom, right? Now, when the sages found that the same King Vena is not doing his duties, instead he is rather like creating more problems for the society. So they were very clear that the King Vena has to be removed. One thing which I deeply liked in this purport, and which has very apt meaning in our life also, is this line. Ultimately, King Vena became so mischievous that the saintly sages actually became afraid of becoming contaminated by his activities. Now comes the line. Thus, before taking any action against him, the sages try to pacify and correct him so that he might turn from his mischief. It is a very important lesson for us, how we will understand with the help of an example. We all know about Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit did a mistake of putting a dead snake in the neck of the sage. His name was Shringi, right? You may please correct me if I'm wrong. Shringi Rishi. Now, definitely it was a mistake, and a king at that level should not have done. Now, can someone help me to recall the name of the son of the sage? Son was
Samika Rishi.
Samika Rishi. Yeah, so thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Samika Rishi was the father, and the Shringi was the son who cursed. Right. Thank you so much, Mataji. Now, these two great personalities, King Parikshit and Shringi Rishi, both did a mistake. One by putting a dead snake in the neck of the father Samika Rishi, and then followed by that, Shringi Rishi also did a mistake by cursing the King Parikshit. The difference is what? The king realized his mistake as soon as the moment he was going away from the sage's place back to his palace. The king was realizing, oh, I've done something wrong. I must get the punishment before it affects my family, and right. It is a verse in that chapter of Srimad Bhagwatam, first canto, I think towards the end, 19th chapter. So the king did a mistake, and then he realized that he did a mistake, and we all know there was no need of any correction to be done towards the king, because when a person who does a mistake realizes by himself, then the person itself is so great, he's not going to do this mistake again, and he's feeling bad in himself, right, after he did the mistake. On the other hand, the son Shringi, when he realized that his father was insulted in this way, yes, he has a right to give the punishment. But now the question is, for given mistake, what punishment is being given? The punishment that he decided to give was so full of offense that it created even the downfall of entire Brahmana community from that point onwards. The king, who had done so much good to the society, to the sages, to everyone in the kingdom, even had fought with Kali and asked him to remain so restricted that nobody gets impacted. When a person has done so good in our life, for some reason, does something which we feel is a mistake, or which certainly may be a mistake, but what punishment we are going to give the person decides how elevated we are. So both, once again, both did the mistake. One even need not to be corrected, but the other one, for a very small mistake, the punishment he gave was very, very big. Well, we can say it, yes. And why to say it is definitely an arrangement of the Lord. Otherwise, we would have not been discussing Srimad Bhagwatam today. Everything is true. But when we learn, we have to learn from each and every instance that is there in front of us. There was a very close person. His name is Vishal Prabhu. At the time of Srila Prabhupada, he was very, very close to Srila Prabhupada. And then one day he was glorifying Srila Prabhupada, saying, Prabhupada, it is the arrangement of the Lord that we have got you in our life, and then we cannot pay, we will always be indebted to the Lord. And he was praising. And then while praising, when he bowed down and was paying obeisances, Srila Prabhupada immediately said, it was seen in Vrindavan, and the hole was cleaned, and there was a small place where some water was still accumulated. And then Srila Prabhupada asked, is it also an arrangement of the Lord that the water is accumulated in this small pitfall? And then he realized what Prabhupada was referring to. He said, no, Prabhupada, I will clean it now. So why we are discussing this second example after the first one? Because if we say everything is an arrangement of the Lord, then in a way, we are just washing our hands and then saying, well, it has to happen. I have no role in this. Well, on one side, we have to have the full mood of surrender to the Lord, and whatever happens, it is as per His will. But as Vishal Prabhu accepted that he should have cleaned that water, similarly, when anything happens in and around us, it is our responsibility to analyze that in the light of Krishna consciousness and to see what best can be taken out from that situation. His Grace Maharaj Prabhu from ISKCON Kolkata was taking one of the class recently, and he said, at every moment that we live in our life, LIVE, at any moment in our life that we live, we must learn how best I can serve Krishna in this given situation. Having this mood of serving Krishna in the best possible way in our capacity is the very straightforward definition of Krishna consciousness. So now we went story inside story, and then we are now coming back. So Vishal Prabhu example we discussed, and then Parikshit Maharaj and Shringi Rishi example we discussed. And now we are coming back to the last line, the last highlighted line of this purport. The sages, before they decided that the king should be dethroned and should be punished, they went to the king to pacify him and to correct him. Because when there is a possibility to remove the person, it is a very big decision, right? These are the great sages. So even when they know that the king is not going to change himself, it is a duty of a person, of a sage, to give a chance to the people under them. So we learn many things from this purport. We should not be deciding a punishment even when we are in position of giving the punishment in hurry. There should always be a try to see how the things can be improved, if not corrected. Let me repeat, how the things can be improved, even if cannot be corrected completely. without taking any big step. Sometimes the things changes, people changes themselves without even, and we doing it through the Lord, through our prayer, praying to the Lord, is a sign of surrenderness. Then we taking an action. So we have to decide, right, what situation we should accept as a decision of the Lord, and what we should try to what extent. So I'm leaving many question marks, but lot of learnings. We go to the next verse, and let me see if someone wants to read the verse. And please feel free at any point of time to ask any doubt. And we have senior Vaishnavas here, so they can also help. Mataji is there, so I'm not worried. Well, so anyone wants to read the verse 12? Okay, so I will try. My pronunciation
Yes,
is not very good. Yes, Mataji. Okay, kindly go ahead, Mataji.
Text 12.
Text 12.
Yeah, okay. Text 12. Hari Bol, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tat vidvadhira shadvritto venosmabhikrito nrapah shantvito yadi no vacham na grahishyati adharmakrit lokadikara sandagdam dahishyamah swatejasa. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, the saintly sages continued thinking. Of course, we were completely aware of his mischievous nature, yet we were nevertheless enthroned Vena. If we cannot persuade King Vena to accept our advice, he will be condemned by the public and we will join them. Thus, by our prowess, we shall burn him into ashes. Ready the purport?
Okay, Mataji. Yeah, it is short one only. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Saintly persons are not interested in political matters, yet they are always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. Consequently, they sometimes have to come down to the political field and take steps to correct the misguided government or royalty. However, in Kali Yuga, saintly persons are not as powerful as they previously were. They used to be able to burn any sinful man to ashes by virtue of their spiritual prowess. Now, saintly persons have no such power due to the influence of the age of Kali. Indeed, the Brahmanas do not even have the power to perform sacrifices in which animals are put into a fire to attain a new life. Under these circumstances, instead of actively taking part in politics, saintly persons should engage in chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, by simply chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the general populace can derive all benefits without political implications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Krishna. Okay, another very, very important verse. So the Brahmanas of this yuga are not so powerful, even so powerful that they could even offer an animal into the sacrifice, right? Animal sacrifice is prohibited in Kali Yuga. Now, this line, now saintly persons have no such power due to the influence of the age of Kali. Indeed, Brahmanas do not have power, right? This we discussed. Under these circumstances, instead of actively taking part in politics, saintly persons should engage in the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, if I'll take another story, small, quick one. Once it comes in Bhakti Vriksha, it happened to be our last module that we discussed, week number 32. So the Navamrita section of week 32 begins with, once a Brahmana was there and he was worshipping Lord Shiva, and Shiva was very much pleased. So he instructed the Brahmana to go to Sanatana Goswami. And then we know Sanatana Goswami had a touchstone which could make any iron to gold. And Sanatana Goswami asked Brahmana when he told that so and so, like Lord Shiva has asked him to come and meet you to take the best thing what you have. And then Sanatana Goswami said, you can look in that corner, in that garbage, there'll be a touchstone. And then the Brahmana was very happy and he took it. Well, Brahmana took it and he converted iron into gold. But then he got a thought, if this was the best thing, then why did Sanatana Goswami keep it in garbage? When I'm sorry if it is a repeat for all of us or for most of us, but there is a very hidden connection of this between the verse that we are going to discuss. I mean, which we just read. So now, when the Brahmana asks this question to Sanatana Goswami, if it was best thing, why did you keep it in garbage? And then Sanatana Goswami said, if you want the best thing, then you have to throw the touchstone into the water, and then he gave him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, if Sanatana Goswami had anything better than touchstone, which he indeed had, which is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if he had anything better than the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he would have given it by the order of Lord Shiva. Right? Now, if Mahaprabhu, this is something very interesting. This is the reason why we chose the whole story. If Mahaprabhu had anything better than Hare Krishna Mahamantra to give it to us, he would have given it to us. So, and we know Sanatana Goswami is none other than the prime disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the topmost, not the topmost, not one of the topmost, the topmost Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Guru of Rupa Goswami, and elder brothers also. So, Sanatana Goswami, as I said, like is this disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu would have given him anything better than Mahamantra if such thing existed or exists. Now the connection. The connection part is, in this Kali Yuga, when we know Prayana Alpayusha Sabhya, right? There is no intelligence, there is no time, we are always disturbed. And we know that. That part is something where we don't need commentary because we are experiencing it always. So, in that situation, if we had also been given the power, sorry, so in that situation, if we would have given the power of doing animal sacrifice, to take part in politics, to remove a man who is bad, to put a person who is good, to look after how the society is progressing on Krishna consciousness, how much time we would have, these are good responsibility to execute, there is no doubt. But to come to that level and to execute that, we all of us agree here in this forum, these are good responsibilities, but at the same time, doing these are not pure devotional service. Setting up the Varnashrama system is very much essential, but it is a point to ensure that the devotional, everybody progresses in the society, but they are not the progress pure devotional service. It is a infrastructure where the devotional service can begin. But if we are involved in, if we engage ourselves into doing everything, how much time we will be left with to perform the actual service for the Lord? So, in the less time, when there is no energy, there is no time, there is no intelligence, there is no memory, and always disturbed, it is good that we do not have that power. Because even if we would have kept that power very secure, used it very nicely, we would have not used, right, to perform the pure devotional service. Why I'm again emphasizing this? Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the pure devotional service, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given it to us to get the best in the least possible time. So there is no need for all of us, for any one of us, to get involved in anything. It is called that Atyahara Prajalpa, right? Why to get involved into the politics when we know everyone is doing it? Is doing it so that they can do good for the society, keeping themselves in the front. If everyone wants to do that, how it is possible? Assume everybody in the politics is very, very clean. Everyone wants to do good, but keeping himself in the forefront. That is also not possible. If we want to do good, right, we have to be in the background, and politics means we have to come in the foreground, right? So we'll not go into more detail. The point is what? There is no time, and use it for the chanting. This is what Mahaprabhu has told. This is what Srila Prabhupada is repeating in his purport. So we not having a power to get engaged into those things is a blessing of Mahaprabhu in this time. So simply do the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then it gets all the benefit in the least possible time. Yes, we go to the next shloka. Krishna, anyone wants to read this? Evam madhyavasayena munyo gudhamanayavaha upavrajya bruvanvenam santavayitava cha samabhi. The translation is, the great sage, having thus decided, approached the king Vena, concealing their real anger. They pacified him with sweet words and then spoke as follows. There is no purport to this, but there is a lifetime of purport hidden in this translation of Srila Prabhupada. So they knew what is going to happen, concealing their real anger. They pacified him with sweet words. So it is an important art which only a person who says at heart can do. Because how much time we have, like how much control do we have on our anger? We don't even have to open our mouth. Our face can reveal it by itself. Right? So see, there is a very nice verse, right? 2.70, Apuryamanam Achalam Pratistam Samudraam Api, right? That when so many waves comes and hits the ocean, the shore of the ocean, but the ocean remains always very silent. So similarly, a sage is a person who gets the thought but does not react upon them. If you feel a sage is a person without any emotions, without any desires, then no, that is at least most of the time not possible. But a real sage is one who gets the desire and does not react upon them. A thought may not need to be given the form of an action. Okay, so we are discussing this because learning from the examples of the sages who are angry but who are able to hide their anger to see how the experiment that they're going to perform is going to work. Many times we even we want to correct the things, but our anger makes us not to do what we want to, right? How many of us would have seen this thing? We went there some place with a good intention. We want to solve that, but because we do not have the control on our that vacho vegam, right? we end up saying something. We end up showing our anger. We end up showing our hidden, concealed desire to the person, and then the whole thing spoils. So, next verse. Munya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhetad yarte vignapayam boh ayu shribala kirtinam tavatata vivardhanam. Yeah. Translation: The great sage said, "Dear king, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulence, strength, and reputation will increase." Yes, Archana Mataji, can you read the purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. According to Vedic civilization, in a monarchy, the king is advised by saintly persons and sages. By taking their advice, he can become the greatest executive power, and everyone in his kingdom will be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. The great kings were very responsible in taking the instructions given by great saintly personalities. The king used to accept the instructions given by the great sages like Parasara, Vyasadeva, Narada, Devala, Asita. In other words, they would first accept the authority of saintly persons and then execute their monarchical power. Unfortunately, in the present age of Kali, the head of government does not follow the instructions given by the saintly persons. Therefore, neither the citizens nor the men of government are very happy. Their durations of life is shortened, and almost everyone is rich and bereft of bodily strength and spiritual power. If citizens want to be happy and prosperous in this democratic age, they should not elect rascals and fools who have no respect for saintly persons. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, it is a nice practical tip. Last line says, if citizen wants to be happy and prosperous in this democratic age, they should not elect rascals and fools who have no respect for saintly persons. So, on a practical side, yes, we should do it as it is said, like the lesser evil. Even if we know that all the politicians whom we have to vote are not the good one, select the one who is least bad, right? So, okay, but how is it related to our Krishna consciousness? In this age, see, we are not a king. I mean, what this verse, what this purport, what meaning this purport has a meaning in our life? We are not a king, nor the sages mentioned here, Parashara, Vyasdeva, Narada, Devala, Asita, nor we do have direct physical access to hear from them and apply it in whatever small kingdom of our family or society or office, whatever we have, right? We have to learn in given situation what we can do best. Okay, now what has been told to us in the previous verse is no need to get engaged into those political affairs. Do the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now we have to take the decisions here and there, right? In our life, we are not so elevated that we are not Haridas Thakur that we can chant 24/7. So now comes, like, when we go from any place, say Bangalore to Chennai, and if I'm driving and if I do not know, even if I'm going in the right path, if I don't see those milestone paths, those boards that Chennai is now 300 kilometer and after driving 50 kilometer, right? if I see my 300 kilometer, after driving 50 kilometer, in place of 250, it has become 350 kilometer. It certainly means I have gone into the wrong direction. This is how our scriptures are telling us how to navigate in your life. And the great sages mentioned here, Vyasdeva has written the Srimad Bhagwatam, right? Srila Prabhupada, taking the reference of all the acharyas, has described what Vyasdeva is trying to say in each of his verse. So, once again, we are a minute king of a family of the 4 members, if at all we are heard in the family, right? So, at least when the kids are young. So, assume ourselves as a king, even if we are king of, say, ourselves. So, we must hear from these great personalities, great acharyas, what they are trying to say in the scriptures. And we, at least, this kingdom of the body, means the senses, at least we should try to regulate them as per how the sages are asking us to do. So this is what the beauty of the Krishna consciousness is, right? When we would have read this purport and then immediately move to the next one, saying, no, I'm not a king. Okay, I have to do Mahamantra. Well, everything is true, right? But what we can learn best from the given situation, we have to go. We have to meditate. If we don't meditate, it is something like I heard from His Holiness Swam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj recently in one of his lecture. He said, if we go to, if we are in Mumbai, and for example, Mumbai chaats are very famous, you go to one shop, then the second shop, then the third shop, and you are keep on going to the different shops for the charts. Well, it is okay to eat the charts if you like it, but the point is what? You have to digest what you have eaten in the shop one. If you just keep on putting everything in your mouth, it is not going to work. Why we are discussing that example here? When we read a purport, before we go to the next one, what and how it can help me to improve in my life, we at least should have a desire to learn from that. This is the point that I'm trying to connect. Last verse of the day. Dharma acharita pumsam van manah kaya buddhibihi lokan vishokan vitarti atha nantyam asanginam. Kindly forgive me for my bad pronunciation. Kindly pray that I learn it one day, like you all. Translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I read? Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhu. Translation.
Translation by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Those who live according to religious principles and who follow them by words, mind, body and intelligence are elevated to the heavenly kingdom, which is divided by all miseries. Being thus rid of the material influence, they achieve unlimited happiness in life. Shall I read purport, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
Purport by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki jai. The saintly sages herein instruct that the king of head of government should set an example by living a religious life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, religion means worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not simply make a show of religious life, but should perform devotional service perfectly with words, mind, body, and good intelligence. By doing so, not only will the king or government head rid himself of the contamination of the material modes of nature, but the general public will also, and they will all become gradually elevated to the kingdom of God and go back to home, back to Godhead. The instructions given herein serve as a summary of how the head of government should execute his ruling power and thus attain happiness not only in his life but also in the life after death. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So we read in this purport that how a king should perform, and when he performs, the important thing is to have a sync between the words, mind, body, and our intelligence. Because many a times what happens is our mind goes into some direction, right? It is something like that chariot where 5 senses are there, each represent one sense, and each of them wants to go into a different direction, and then they take the mind, and that basically the senses is driving the chariot. Okay, so from that state to when we chant, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So one of the japa affirmation by His Grace Mahatma Das Prabhu is like, when I chant, I chant. Right? There is a complete focus. So when we are chanting the Maha Mantra, my mind, even if it is going somewhere, we drag it back, because all of them, with the help of the intelligence, keeping the body straightened, right? And Maha Mantra, because what we see here, I heard it very interestingly. Like it may sound like we are discussing in English. Okay? We are reading the English language, but the transformation which happens, okay, it is actually the Srila Prabhupada says it is my purpose are my personal ecstasies. So those ecstasies, how can we define an ecstasy into words? It's not possible. When we read with the mood to serve Srila Prabhupada, I read not because it is going to give me information. The same purport I'm reading, well, these are the transcendental things, and it cannot go without an impact. But if I want to take the best of my time, then the mood should be, I should read because Srila Prabhupada wanted me to read. Will I be able to remember even a single word out of our last 1 hour of discussion? Well, least important thing. Because the transformation which is happening when we are reading the purport is our real wealth. That will be there with us always. We are not here to by heart the slokas, the examples, the analogies. When the time comes, when our mood is to serve, when the right time comes, the Lord will reveal it in our heart. My Guru Maharaj used to give this example. Rather than remembering the 700 recipes from a cookbook, the more important thing is to make one. Means, rather than by hearting 700 slokas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, more important thing is take one, apply it in our life. That will give us more relishing rasa than knowing 700 recipes. So the reason when we do it, why we are discussing this example once again, we have to find a connection, right? Why we are doing this thing? Because what we are reading, words, it has to, until our mood is to serve, right? All the things will going into different directions. If we are doing it for pleasure of the of Srila Prabhupada, our words, our mind, body, intelligence, everything will be on the one line. So that was my reason to basically take that example. So we are done with the time. I mean, okay, volume is low. We will listen. Oh, is it so low? Sorry. Hare Krishna. I should have checked this message earlier. Was I audible properly? Kindly forgive me for that if I did not pay attention to that. But we are done. with the time, the purpose assigned to us for today. And I'm not able to hear. Can somebody, Hare Krishna, can someone please unmute and say if I'm audible?
Audible, Mata. Prabhuji.
You're audible, Prabhuji.
Audible. Okay. Okay. So we are done with the today's discussion. If anyone has any comments, questions, we have Her Grace Suguna Mataji with us. That's why I'm not worried. You can help us to answer. Please feel free to ask. All right. Thank you so much for your association. Blessed
Hare
to be part
Krishna,
of.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I just want to share something. Last time, not now, not recently, a few weeks back, where you said one line that whenever we chant, we should chant thinking that this is my last time of chanting. Then if you chant, you will concentrate much on it. That was the thing. Every time you come to the class, I remember that. And whenever I'm chanting, concentrating, I think about that, Prabhuji. And today also a few things that you said, whenever we are doing, we should see which is the best way that we can do. That is, there are so many things, but we have to think and do the best thing. That one was very nice, Prabhuji. Few points which you say, though I'm not writing any notes, it stay in my heart, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for sharing your realization. I'll be indebted to you for this always. I'll also try to adapt this mode. What I said. Thank you. Anyone wants to say anything or put any question? Otherwise, we're done. So sharp 9, and as Mataji had suggested in the beginning, so let us pray 3 times for the wife of His Grace Ashish Patuji for her good health and speedy recovery. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sadhu Seven Prabhu, for a wonderful class. I have requested you that you have to be with us for the whole month of this, all the Mondays, because your substitute speaker is traveling. So I'm very sorry to trouble you and bother you so much.
I'm happy to be part of your service.
And so I will be also frequently traveling. That's the reason I wanted to, have a confirmation from the speakers for the coming month. Thank you so much once again, all the participants, those who have joined. So please continue to give us your support, because every session that we have, that the speaker gets motivated only when we have the audience to hear. Together, we all progress by purifying ourselves, by reading every word of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagwatam and the beautiful purports of Srila Prabhupada. So with that note, thanking the speaker and thanking all the participants for joining, promising another session tomorrow. So till then, thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarbhesha, kripa sindhubhesha, patitana pavnebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namo, ananta ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
With
Hare
everybody.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.